this is where it starts with the LS3. This one only had 36,000 miles on it and had a Tremec 6060 manual transmission. So this was a true LS3, and this was the start of the New Edge LS3 build. So I'm gonna start with, I started off just looking for parts to fit this this LS3 into the New Edge body. I started off with the shifter, because that's one thing on this build. Well, one of many things on this build that was kind of in the way. The original shifter goes well past the hole for the original shifter where it would originally go in that car. So this short shifter takes away that semi-remote, whatever they call it, shifter that's on the Camaros, and it pushes it pretty much on top of the shifter back to on top of the transmission. And that one really worked for this setup. I had to cut a little still, but like very minimal, like super small amount, and it worked out pretty good. And the shifter was amazing. It was pretty expensive, but the shifter was amazing. I had no issues with it at all. So for this, I'm just gonna get all the parts out the way first. Do not buy this transmission mount or these engine mounts. They, for one, they don't fit. The transmission mount didn't fit at all. Since this was a transmission straight off the Camaro, it didn't have the two bolt holes that the Tremec has that's on the Ford. So if you get a Tremec off a Ford, it'll work, but it didn't work in my application. And these mounts, these engine mounts, are horrible. They say you could use just factory engine mounts off of a New Edge Mustang, like the 9904 Mustang. You can use the original mounts for that car with these adapter plates, and it did not work at all. At all. And it was missing bolts and screws. So was the freaking transmission mount. It was just no bueno. It wasn't good at all. I ended up having to get the transmission mount made here in town locally. And for the engine mount, I just went with a whole K member from Team Z Motorsports, a chromoly tubular K member. It was really, everything just bolted right up. It had solid mounts, and I really didn't have a problem with the with vibration or anything, because I did have a polyurethane mount on the transmission, so everything worked out with that. So at this point, I'm not wasting any time. I just hoisted it up and then dropped it into the car. I just wanted to see like how, if it's hitting anything, how is it hitting. And man, this car has so much engine bay space. Plus the motor is pretty compact as well. Since it didn't hit anywhere, it dropped right in. The transmission fit in as well. All I had to do was just cut a little tab off of it, but the motor and everything fit in super well. And then I moved on after this to you'll see. So the next thing I did was I had to get a new oil pan. So with the stock and new K member, the oil pan on the stock car comes way out, as you can see, compared to the new one, and it was resting on top of the power steering rack, or I mean the rack companion. So I had to get a new oil pan. I would try to find this one and put it in the description. if I don't forget, but it's an easy one to find. You can type LS3 oil swap pans, and it'll come up. But that was one thing that solved the problem. And you can see the mounts I have, the LS3 swap mounts that I have on at the moment, because I was testing everything out, seeing if it fit. I got the new oil pan on, I dropped it in, and those mounts did not work. So after this this picture is when I got the K member and dropped it in for the first time, and everything just bolted right up. So I went in with the camera to see, and yeah, you can see right there the front of the pan is hitting, like barely hitting the rack and pinion. I was so mad when I seen that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like it was going in like the whole entire way, and it just stopped. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did it hit? But that's it, resting right onto the power steering rack. I mean the rack and pinion, and that's where that other oil pan comes in. Jeez, my freaking camera work. The other oil pan came in handy, because it moves that big hump back more. So go with that oil pan. So yeah, I dropped it in, and it fit. Everything laid in perfect. If you look in the right side screen, all the wires, there's a power distribution block that sits there originally. Do not take that off. You can leave it. I thought you had to take it off for some reason, and it was more of a pain to get it back 100%. So just leave it. You do not need to take that off. Another thing, you do have to flip the fuel rail around. It's not switched right now, but you have to flip the fuel rail around to the side, because the fuel line is coming in from you. Well, you could leave it. You just have to route the AN line around longer, but it's easier to just flip the fuel rail around. It doesn't mess with anything. But everything sat in pretty nice. I just had the battery in here in the front, as you can see, just to crank it and see if it cranked and all that crap. But I ended up relocating the battery to the trunk. But yeah, it worked out pretty good. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. After this, I went in, and I think I had to get the Driveshaft made, and that probably was the easiest part of the whole build, getting a Driveshaft made. Took about a couple of days. They finished super quick. It was super cheap, and it worked out pretty good. So next, I don't know what's coming up after this picture, but I guess you will find out just like I will. Do not do as I did and cut those wires. That connector is perfectly fine how it is. It's 2:30 in the morning, and I was having a problem with the depth light on the car. When you turn on the dash, the depth light will blink, and it wouldn't allow the fuel pump to go through. The mileage isn't showing. And I looked at the wiring diagram again, and this tan and orange wire is spliced in with, where is it at? The other tan and orange wire. So I just slid this in there just to see what happened. Attach the conductors together. As you see, depth lights off, mileage showing. So that's done. So I'm gonna just finish up here, hook the motor up, and then we can see if it starts. Whew, sorry to interrupt, but man, you had your hopes up that night.